The cameras were supposed to be rolling, the glam squads were on standby, and the fans were waiting for the next explosive chapter, but instead, whispers began leaking out of the network halls that would shake reality TV to its core. Late one night, a single message started circulating among insiders: Yandy was done. Not written off, not on pause, banned. And what happened behind the scenes was so messy, so personal, that even longtime producers allegedly couldn't believe it. Fans are shocked, confused, and desperate for answers. How does one of VH1's most recognizable faces suddenly vanish from future shows without warning? Sources say emotions ran high during a closed-door meeting that was never meant to see the light of day. Voices were raised, accusations flew, someone stormed out in tears, and by the time security got involved, relationships had already been shattered beyond repair. According to people close to the situation, this wasn't just about contracts or ratings. This was about loyalty, betrayal, and a line that was crossed in a way no one expected. One insider claims Yandy slammed her phone on the table and said, "I've given this network everything, my family, my marriage, my life. And this is how it ends?" Another source insists executives fired back with words that left the room in stunned silence. As the news spread, reactions poured in. Friends allegedly took sides. Family members were pulled into the chaos. Fans flooded social media demanding the truth, while others wondered if this was the beginning of the end for a reality TV era. The family was left divided, careers were suddenly at risk, and one question echoed louder than all the rest: what really happened behind those locked doors, and who made the final call to shut Yandy out for good? The silence after that closed-door meeting was louder than any screaming match ever caught on camera. Yandy walked out of the building with her phone buzzing non-stop, but she didn't answer a single call. Her face was tight, jaw clenched, eyes glossy but furious. Insiders say that was the exact moment everything shifted. Minutes earlier, she had been sitting across from network executives, producers she once called family, people who had filmed her giving birth, fighting for her marriage, and building her empire. Now, the same people were sliding papers across the table like strangers at war. One source swears the word banned wasn't used at first. It was softer: "We're moving in a different direction," but everyone in that room knew what it really meant. The argument reportedly started over creative control. Yandy, known for speaking her mind, allegedly pushed back hard on a new storyline that would dig into her family in ways she felt crossed a line. "My kids are not your plot twist," she snapped, according to someone who claims to have overheard the exchange through the hallway walls. Producers fired back, saying the show had always been about real life, raw life, and nothing was off limits. Emotions ran high, and that's when things turned personal. Old grievances were dragged up. Moments from past seasons were replayed like evidence in a trial. Who protected who? Who made who famous? Who owed what? Then came the betrayal that stunned everyone. A producer Yandy had trusted for years allegedly revealed private conversations, texts Yandy thought were off the record, now being used to justify why the network felt she was difficult. That word hit hard. Insiders say Yandy stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "Difficult? I made this franchise," she yelled, voice shaking. Security outside the room reportedly moved closer, sensing the tension was about to explode. Fans would later be shocked to hear how ugly it really got behind the scenes, far from the polished confessionals and dramatic music. As Yandy stormed out, phones lit up across the cast. Rumors spread fast. One castmate allegedly texted, "What did you do?" Another replied, "It's bigger than that. This is bad." Within hours, sides were forming. Some friends reached out in support, saying the network went too far. Others stayed silent, afraid to jeopardize their own contracts. The family was left divided before Yandy even got home. When she finally walked through her front door, sources say her husband could tell something was wrong immediately. She dropped her bag, sat down, and whispered, "They're trying to erase me." Word of the fallout reached fans through cryptic posts and sudden unfollows on social media. Viewers noticed Yandy's name missing from early casting whispers for future VH1 projects. Blogs started speculating. Was this a temporary break or a permanent exile? Behind the scenes, the situation only got messier. An emergency meeting was allegedly held with remaining cast members, where they were warned to keep quiet. "This stays in-house," one executive reportedly said. But secrets like this don't stay buried for long, especially when egos, money, and fame are involved. The next twist came when Yandy decided she wasn't going down quietly. Instead of releasing a statement, she started making calls. Lawyers, old industry allies, even former network executives who had long moved on but still knew where the bodies were buried. One insider claims Yandy said, "If they want war, I'll remind them who built this house." At the same time, the network allegedly began preparing their own narrative, painting Yandy as unstable, emotional, and impossible to work with. Emotions ran high on both sides, and the line between truth and fabrication started to blur. Family pressure added fuel to the fire. Relatives urged Yandy to protect her legacy and her peace, not just fight for screen time. But others felt this was about respect. About not letting powerful people rewrite history. Fans were shocked when a close friend unfollowed her without explanation, sparking rumors of another betrayal. Had someone leaked details from that meeting? Had someone chosen the network over loyalty? Yandy reportedly confronted the friend directly, asking, "Did you sell me out?" The answer, according to sources, was silence. By the end of that week, one thing was clear to everyone involved: this was no longer just a contract dispute. It was personal. Reputations were on the line. Friendships were cracking. And somewhere deep inside the network, a final decision was being made that would change the future of multiple shows. As Yandy sat alone late one night, scrolling through messages from fans begging her not to leave TV, she allegedly whispered to herself, "They think this is over. It's just beginning." The next morning the phones started ringing again, but this time it wasn't sympathy calls, it was strategy. Yandy woke up with a tight chest and a headache that wouldn't go away, yet her mind was already racing 10 steps ahead. Screenshots were being sent to her by fans, bloggers hinting she was cut, insiders tweeting vague threats about cast shakeups. Emotions ran high as she realized the narrative was already slipping out of her control. "They're already spinning it," she muttered, scrolling through comments accusing her of being ungrateful. The sting wasn't just professional, it was personal. This was the audience she had cried in front of, prayed in front of, bled in front of. By midday, a mutual friend reached out, someone respected by both sides. The tone of the call was cautious. "Look, they're saying you refused to cooperate," the friend said carefully. Yandy laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Cooperate with what? Humiliating my family?" she shot back. According to sources, that call ended abruptly when the friend suggested Yandy issue a humble statement to calm things down. Humble. That word set her off. "I will not beg for a seat I built," she replied before hanging up. The family was left divided on how she should handle it. Some urged silence. Others wanted her to go live and expose everything. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling. Emergency edits were discussed. Future storylines had to be rewritten overnight. One production assistant allegedly overheard a senior producer say, "We didn't think she'd push back this hard." The network underestimated how much leverage Yandy actually had. Advertisers had already begun asking questions. Fans flooded comment sections demanding answers. Emotions ran high in the writers' room as they debated whether cutting her out would tank the show's authenticity. Someone allegedly whispered, "We might have gone too far." The next twist hit when a leaked audio clip began circulating privately among bloggers. It wasn't clear who leaked it, but the voice sounded unmistakably like a network executive complaining about Yandy being too powerful. Fans were shocked when snippets made their way online. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Comments changed from criticism to outrage. "They used her," one fan wrote. "This is how they treat strong women," said another. Yandy didn't confirm or deny the leak, but insiders say she smiled when she saw it. "Truth has a way of leaking," she allegedly said. Friends started showing their true colors. One castmate showed up unannounced at her house, cameras nowhere in sight. The conversation was tense. "They're asking us to choose," the castmate admitted. Yandy stared at her, eyes steady. "And what are you choosing?" There was a long pause. "I can't afford to be blacklisted," the castmate whispered. That was the moment Yandy realized how deep the fear ran. The family was left divided not just emotionally but strategically. Alliances were crumbling in real time. Meanwhile, the network drafted a quiet internal memo stating Yandy was no longer aligned with future brand direction. Insiders knew what that meant. No spin-offs, no cameos, no reunions, a clean erase. Emotions ran high among longtime crew members who felt loyalty to Yandy but feared retaliation. One crew member allegedly cried, saying, "This isn't why I got into TV," but the machine kept moving. It always does. Yandy's legal team finally stepped in, requesting documentation, emails, timelines. Suddenly, producers who once joked freely were being advised to say nothing. Tension filled the air. A secret meeting was held without Yandy's name on the invite list, but everyone knew it was about her. During that meeting, someone reportedly asked, "What if she tells her side?" Silence followed. The fear wasn't just about scandal, it was about credibility. If Yandy spoke, fans might never look at the network the same way again. At home, Yandy struggled to shield her kids from the chaos. Whispers at school. Parents asking questions. She overheard one of her children ask, "Mommy, did you get fired?" That broke her. She locked herself in the bathroom and cried for the first time since the meeting. Not out of defeat, but exhaustion. Emotions ran high as she questioned whether the spotlight had cost her more than it gave. Yet even in that moment, anger simmered beneath the tears. Another unexpected twist came when a former cast member, long removed from the spotlight, reached out publicly with support. "They did the same to me," the post read. Fans were shocked. Suddenly, a pattern was emerging. Comments exploded. Blogs picked up the story. The network issued a vague statement about creative evolution, but it only fueled more suspicion. Yandy watched it all unfold, saying nothing, letting the pressure build. Late one night, she finally broke her silence, but not publicly. She recorded a voice memo, raw and emotional, speaking as if fans were sitting across from her. Insiders say she debated releasing it, finger hovering over the post button. "If I do this," she whispered, "there's no going back." She didn't post it, not yet. Instead, she saved it, knowing timing was everything. As days turned into weeks, negotiations stalled. The network wanted a quiet exit. Yandy wanted accountability. Neither side blinked. Emotions ran high as reputations continued to hang in the balance. Fans speculated daily, dissecting every post, every like, every silence. The family was left divided between moving on and fighting back. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more explosive, a text message surfaced that threatened to expose exactly who orchestrated Yandy's removal and why. The message ended with one chilling line, "You're not the only one they're scared of." That message changed everything. Yandy read it over and over, her thumb hovering as if the words might disappear. "You're not the only one they're scared of." She leaned back on the couch, heart pounding, mind racing. Who sent it? What did they know? And why now? Emotions ran high as paranoia mixed with validation. This wasn't just about her anymore. This hinted at something bigger, something the network never wanted exposed. She typed a reply, deleted it, then typed again. "Call me," she finally sent. The call came an hour later from a blocked number. The voice on the other end was calm, almost rehearsed. "I can't talk long," the person said. "But what happened to you wasn't random." Yandy listened in silence as the voice explained a pattern of quiet removals, talent slowly pushed out once they gained too much influence. "You stopped being talent," the voice said. "You became power." Fans would later be shocked to learn how deliberate it all allegedly was. The call ended abruptly, leaving Yandy staring at a blank screen, feeling both terrified and energized. Meanwhile, inside the network, panic was setting in. Someone had leaked more than audio this time. An internal email thread began circulating among select bloggers, hinting at concerns over Yandy's brand dominance. Executives scrambled to contain the fallout. Emergency calls were made. Lawyers advised silence. One executive allegedly slammed a fist on the table shouting, "Who keeps talking?" Emotions ran high as trust inside the building began to crumble. Paranoia spread. Everyone was a suspect. Yandy's inner circle grew smaller but stronger. A longtime friend who had stayed quiet finally spoke up. "They're trying to isolate you," she said. "Don't let them." That night, Yandy invited a few trusted allies over. No cameras, no glam, just raw conversation. They sat around her kitchen table, voices low, sharing stories of contracts, threats, and subtle punishments for stepping out of line. The family was left divided even within that room. Some believed exposing everything would be career suicide. Others felt silence was worse. Another twist hit when a castmate, previously neutral, went live on social media after a few drinks. "Y'all don't even know half of it," she slurred. The video was deleted within minutes, but fans are shocked at how fast it spread. Screenshots went viral. Speculation exploded. Was she defending Yandy or protecting herself? The network reportedly contacted her the next morning, reminding her of confidentiality clauses. She posted an apology hours later, eyes red, voice shaky. "I spoke out of turn," she said. But the damage was done. Behind closed doors, negotiations turned ugly. The network offered a payout in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement. Yandy laughed when she heard the number. "That's it?" she asked her lawyer. "That's what my silence is worth to them." Emotions ran high as she rejected the offer outright. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. The network wanted to close the chapter quietly. Yandy wanted to burn the book. At home, the stress began taking a toll. Sleepless nights, short tempers, moments of doubt. Yandy's husband urged her to think about their future beyond television. "We'll be fine," he said. But she could hear the worry in his voice. The family was left divided between protecting peace and demanding justice. One night, after another argument, Yandy admitted, "I'm not scared of losing TV. I'm scared of letting them win." The next major shock came when a former executive, long retired, agreed to meet Yandy privately. The meeting took place in a quiet restaurant, far from industry eyes. Over coffee, the executive confirmed her worst fears. "This is how it works," he said bluntly. "They build you, then they break you before you realize how strong you are." He warned her that speaking out would come with consequences. "They won't just come for your career," he added. "They'll come for your character." Emotions ran high as Yandy realized the fight ahead would be brutal. Sure enough, the smear campaign began subtly. Anonymous tips to blogs questioning her professionalism. Old clips resurfaced, stripped of context. Fans were shocked at how fast public opinion tried to shift. Comments turned nasty. "She's always been difficult," some wrote. Others defended her fiercely. The internet became a battleground. The family was left divided even among fans, lines drawn deep and hard. Yandy stayed quiet publicly, but privately she was preparing. Documents were organized, timelines mapped, names circled. She recorded more voice memos, each one more controlled than the last. Not rants, but statements. Truth, laid out calmly. "They want me emotional," she told her lawyer. "I'll give them facts." Emotions ran high as the strategy shifted from reaction to offense. Then came the moment no one expected. A major sponsor quietly pulled out of an upcoming VH1 project, citing brand alignment concerns. Insiders knew exactly what that meant. Yandy's shadow loomed large. The network felt it immediately. Emergency meetings resumed. Blame flew. "This is because of her," someone shouted. Fear replaced confidence. The power dynamic was changing. Fans sensed it too. Hashtags trended demanding transparency. Reaction videos popped up dissecting every rumor. "She deserves better" became a rallying cry. Yandy watched from a distance, overwhelmed. "I never asked for this," she whispered. But deep down, she knew momentum had shifted. The final blow in this chapter came when a confidential document was anonymously emailed to multiple outlets. It outlined a plan to phase Yandy out months before the alleged creative differences meeting ever happened. Dates, bullet points, intent. Fans are shocked as journalists began verifying its authenticity. The network issued a firm denial, but their voice lacked conviction. Emotions ran high as the walls closed in. Alone in her bedroom that night, Yandy sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, staring at the saved voice memo. This time, she didn't hesitate. "If I press this," she said softly, "everything changes." Outside, the world waited. Inside, the decision was already made. Her thumb finally pressed down, and the voice memo went live. Not with fireworks, not with captions, just her voice, steady and controlled. Within minutes, notifications exploded. Fans are shocked by how calm she sounded, how deliberate every word felt. "This isn't a rant," she said. "This is my truth." Emotions ran high as listeners realized this wasn't a breakdown, it was a calculated move. She spoke about boundaries, about family, about power dynamics that never make it on screen. She never named names, and that silence spoke louder than any accusation. Inside the network, chaos erupted. Phones rang nonstop. Executives demanded to know who approved her release, forgetting in their panic that they no longer controlled her. "She's framing this as empowerment," one insider allegedly snapped. "We can't fight that." Legal teams scrambled, reviewing every clause, every loophole. But the memo had been clean. No defamation, no breach, just perspective. Emotions ran high as they realized she had outplayed them. Cast reactions poured in fast. Some posted vague quotes about loyalty. Others stayed silent. One longtime castmate finally commented, "I stand with her." Fans are shocked at how quickly that single sentence shifted the mood online. Suddenly, more voices followed. Stories of manipulation. Quiet warnings. "I wish I had spoken sooner," one former cast member wrote. The family was left divided across the franchise, fractures widening with every post. The network attempted damage control, releasing a polished statement praising Yandy's contributions while emphasizing creative evolution. The internet wasn't buying it. Fans dissected every word. "This reads like guilt," one comment said. Reaction channels blew up overnight. Emotions ran high as the story escaped the network's grip and became a broader conversation about exploitation in reality TV. At home, Yandy felt the weight of it all crash down. Relief mixed with fear, support mixed with threats. Messages from young women thanking her for speaking up brought tears to her eyes. "I needed to hear this," one message read. But there were darker messages too. Warnings, subtle threats disguised as concern. "Be careful," a former colleague texted. The family was left divided on how exposed they now felt. Another unexpected twist came when a journalist reached out, claiming to have verified the leaked document. "This could be big," he said. Yandy hesitated. Going on record would escalate everything. Her lawyer advised caution. "Once you attach your name," he warned, "there's no controlling the fallout." Emotions ran high as she weighed the cost of silence against the cost of truth. Meanwhile, advertisers began quietly reassessing their relationships. Meetings were postponed. Calls went unanswered. The network felt the financial pressure tighten. Insiders whispered that heads might roll. Blame shifted from Yandy to internal leadership. "She didn't do this," one producer allegedly said. "We did." Fear crept in as careers suddenly felt unstable. The stress began manifesting physically for Yandy. Migraines, fatigue, moments where she stared into space, overwhelmed. Yet every time doubt crept in, another wave of support arrived. Fans organized online campaigns. "We believe her," trended. Emotions ran high as she realized how deeply her story resonated beyond entertainment gossip. Then came the betrayal no one saw coming. Someone from Yandy's inner circle allegedly leaked private messages to a blog, twisting them to suggest she had planned this fallout all along. Fans are shocked by how quickly the narrative tried to flip. "This was a setup," headlines screamed. Yandy felt the air leave her lungs when she saw it. "I trusted them," she whispered. The family was left divided once again, trust eroding fast. Instead of reacting publicly, Yandy did something unexpected. She went quiet. No posts, no statements. The silence drove speculation wild. Insiders say this was intentional. Behind the scenes, she was documenting everything: timestamps, receipts, patterns. Emotions ran high as the fight moved from public opinion to strategy. The network, sensing vulnerability, made one last attempt to negotiate. A higher payout, a softer exit, a promise of future opportunities elsewhere. Yandy listened, then declined. "You still don't get it," she said calmly. "This isn't about me coming back." The call ended cold. Bridges burned completely. The final shift came when a major streaming platform reportedly reached out, interested not in drama but in her story. Her story, on her terms. Not reality TV, but a docuseries. Controlled, factual, empowering. Fans are shocked when whispers of this potential project hit social media. The network felt the threat immediately. This wasn't just damage control anymore. This was competition. At dinner that night, Yandy finally smiled for the first time in weeks. Not because she had won, but because she had reclaimed something important. Agency. "Whatever happens next," she told her family, "we choose it." The family was left divided, no longer united in that moment by clarity. As the night grew quiet, Yandy checked her phone one last time. A new message sat unread from an unknown number. "They're scrambling," it read. "Stay ready." She locked her phone, turned off the light, and lay back, heart steady. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time, she wasn't running from it. She was standing in the center, unafraid. Morning came without peace. Yandy woke up to a phone vibrating nonstop, the kind of vibration that tells you the world is on fire before you even open your eyes. Notifications stacked on top of each other, missed calls from numbers she didn't recognize, messages that started friendly and ended threatening. Emotions ran high as she scrolled. Blogs were now framing the situation as a network civil war. Insiders were leaking contradictory stories, each one trying to control the narrative. Some painted Yandy as a hero. Others tried to brand her as reckless. The family was left divided not just emotionally but in how visible they wanted to be moving forward. By mid-morning, the docuseries rumor grew legs. Unnamed sources claimed contracts were already being discussed. The network publicly denied everything, but privately they panicked. An executive allegedly said, "If she tells this story first, we're finished." Meetings overlapped meetings. Legal teams argued with PR teams. Emotions ran high as leadership realized they no longer controlled the timeline. The power had shifted, and it terrified them. Yandy met with her lawyer again, this time joined by a crisis strategist. The advice was blunt. "They will try to provoke you," the strategist warned. "They want you emotional, angry, reactive." Yandy nodded. She had learned that lesson the hard way. "They don't get me like that anymore," she replied quietly. Still, the weight of it all pressed down. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was standing in for everyone who had been silenced before her. Another twist landed when a respected entertainment reporter published an article questioning the network's history with strong female talent. Yandy's name was mentioned, but so were others. Patterns were outlined, timelines compared. Fans are shocked by how clear it suddenly looked. Comments flooded in from former crew members anonymously backing the claims. "We saw it," one wrote. "We were scared too." The family was left divided across the industry, lines now impossible to ignore. Behind the scenes, retaliation whispers grew louder. Yandy's team noticed sudden changes. Brand calls cancelled, invitations quietly rescinded. Someone was trying to remind her that the industry had a long memory. Emotions ran high as frustration bubbled up again. "This is the punishment," she said. "Speak up and they squeeze you out." But this time, she wasn't alone. Brands aligned with her values stepped forward, offering support quietly, strategically. At home, tension surfaced in unexpected ways. Small arguments, heavy silences, the stress leaked into everyday moments. One night, during dinner, her husband asked, "Are you ready for what this could cost us?" Yandy didn't answer right away. She finally said, "It already cost us if I stayed quiet." The family was left divided only for a moment, then pulled closer by shared resolve. The next escalation came fast. A former producer went on record anonymously, confirming that Yandy's exit had been discussed long before the alleged blowup. Fans are shocked as details matched the leaked document almost perfectly. The network's denials began to crumble. Internally, fingers pointed everywhere. "Who let this get out?" someone yelled. Paranoia ruled. Trust evaporated. Yandy was invited to speak privately at a women in media event. No cameras, no press, just a room full of people who understood the stakes. She spoke candidly, voice steady, eyes fierce. "They tell you to be authentic," she said, "until your authenticity threatens their control." Emotions ran high in that room. Some cried, some nodded in recognition. Word of her speech leaked anyway, snippets shared online like gospel. The smear attempts intensified. Old conflicts were rehashed, narratives twisted. One blog claimed Yandy had planned this exit strategy for years. Fans are shocked at how aggressive the spin became. But something unexpected happened. It didn't stick. Too many people had spoken up. Too many receipts existed. The audience wasn't as gullible as the network hoped. Then came the call that changed the internal chessboard. A high-level executive resigned suddenly, citing personal reasons. Insiders knew better. Pressure had reached a breaking point. Emotions ran high as staff whispered that more departures might follow. Yandy heard the news secondhand and closed her eyes. Not out of satisfaction, but validation. The truth was surfacing whether anyone liked it or not. Still, the toll was real. One night, Yandy admitted to a close friend, "I'm tired. Not tired of fighting, but tired of being strong all the time." The friend reminded her, "Rest isn't quitting." The family was left divided only by fear now, not purpose. Another curveball arrived when a former rival publicly apologized to Yandy for past conflicts, admitting they had been manipulated. Fans are shocked as the apology went viral. "We were pitted against each other," the rival said. "And I fell for it." The moment felt surreal. Old wounds reopened, then slowly began to heal. The network made one last attempt to regain control by announcing a fresh new era of programming. Yandy's absence was obvious. Viewers noticed. Ratings dipped. Advertisers hesitated. Emotions ran high as executives realized removing her hadn't erased her influence. It amplified it. Late one evening, Yandy sat alone on her patio, city lights flickering in the distance. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. This time the message was simple. "They're losing their grip." She exhaled slowly. She knew the road ahead would still be rough. Backlash, delays, sacrifices. But she also knew this chapter had changed the rules. She opened a new note on her phone and typed a single sentence, something she planned to say out loud one day when the time was right. "I was never banned. I was freed." She locked the screen, stood up, and went back inside, ready for whatever came next. The pressure didn't break all at once, it cracked in layers. Yandy felt it in the way people spoke slower around her, choosing words like landmines. She felt it in the pauses before replies, in the meetings that suddenly needed to be rescheduled. Emotions ran high as she realized the industry was watching closely, waiting to see if she would flinch. She didn't. Instead, she recalibrated. Less emotion, more intention. Every move now felt like chess. The docuseries whispers refused to die. Even without confirmation, they changed the atmosphere. Insiders began treating Yandy not like a liability, but like a looming force. Some avoided her. Others leaned in, hoping to align early. One former executive quietly admitted, "They're scared you'll tell it cleaner than they ever could spin it." Fans are shocked as speculation turned into expectation. People weren't asking if she would speak again. They were asking when. The network's internal fractures deepened. Long suppressed resentments surfaced. Producers blamed executives. Executives blamed legal. Legal blamed talent relations. Emotions ran high as years of questionable decisions were suddenly re-examined through a harsh new lens. One staffer allegedly said, "This all started because we forgot she was human." That comment didn't make the minutes, but it spread anyway. Yandy's calm became her armor. She stopped reacting to rumors entirely. No subtweets, no indirects. The silence unnerved people more than anger ever could. Fans debated her next move endlessly. "She's plotting," one wrote. "She's healing," said another. The family was left divided in public opinion, but Yandy remained focused on the long game. Another unexpected ally emerged when a veteran showrunner from a different network reached out privately. "I watched what they did to you," he said. "You're not crazy." He offered perspective, not promises. Stories of similar power plays, different faces, same tactics. Emotions ran high as Yandy realized her experience wasn't unique, just highly visible. The stress still found its way into quiet moments. Sleepless nights returned, not from fear but from replaying conversations, wondering if she could have changed anything. One night she admitted out loud, "I gave them too much access." That realization hurt more than the ban ever did. Boundaries, once crossed, are hard to rebuild. Then came another shift. A major media outlet requested an interview, off the record at first. Yandy agreed, cautiously. The conversation lasted hours. No gotcha questions. No sensational framing. Just listening. Afterward, the journalist said, "This isn't a scandal. It's a system." That sentence stuck with her. Emotions ran high as she sensed the narrative evolving beyond gossip. The network felt the heat. Advertisers began asking for assurances. Talent contracts were reviewed quietly. Clauses tightened. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it reorganizes. Yandy could feel it happening without seeing it. People moved differently now, more careful, more aware. A former crew member reached out anonymously, sending a simple message: "Thank you for saying what we couldn't." Fans are shocked when screenshots of similar messages began circulating, names redacted, stories eerily consistent. The family was left divided across generations of talent, but united in one truth: silence had been the rule for too long. Yandy's children noticed the change too. Fewer smiles, more focus. One afternoon, her youngest asked, "Are you in trouble?" Yandy knelt down and answered honestly. "No," she said, "I'm standing up." That moment grounded her more than any strategy session ever could. Another blow landed when an industry award nomination she was expected to receive quietly disappeared from consideration. No explanation, just absence. Emotions ran high as the message came through loud and clear. This was the cost. She sat with it, allowed herself 1 hour of anger, then let it go. "They can keep trophies," she said. "They can't keep the truth." Unexpectedly, the docuseries talks stalled. Not because of fear, but because of precision. Yandy wanted full control. Editorial, legal, distribution. "I'm not trading one cage for another," she told her team. Patience became the new weapon. Fans grew restless but loyal. Meanwhile, the network launched a glossy campaign celebrating new voices. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Comments flooded in calling it performative. Emotions ran high as viewers saw through it. Ratings told the story numbers tried to hide. One night, alone again, Yandy re-listened to the first voice memo she had released. She barely recognized the woman speaking. Not weaker, just earlier in the process. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's clarity. She deleted old drafts she no longer needed. The past had served its purpose. The final ripple in this chapter came quietly. A private arbitration filing surfaced, unrelated on paper, but deeply connected in context. It named practices, not people. Systems, not scandals. Insiders froze when they read it. This wasn't about revenge. It was about record. Emotions ran high as the realization set in. This story would outlive trends, cycles, and headlines. Yandy closed her laptop and stepped outside into the night. The air felt different, lighter, not because the fight was over, but because she was no longer carrying it alone. Whatever came next would be on her terms, in her voice, with her name attached. And that, more than any show or network, was the real power shift. The industry didn't explode after that filing, it froze. Phones stopped ringing for a few hours, which somehow felt louder than chaos. Yandy sensed it immediately. Silence like that meant people were reading, processing, realizing the ground beneath them wasn't as solid as they thought. Emotions ran high as speculation turned into strategy behind closed doors. No more public statements, no more leaks, just quiet calculation. Inside the network, morale cracked. Staff whispered in hallways, careful who was listening. Some feared layoffs, others feared subpoenas. Leadership tried to project confidence, but even their body language betrayed them. One insider later claimed an executive asked, "How did we let this get so far?" The answer hung in the room unspoken. Ego, control, underestimation. Yandy felt a strange calm settle over her. Not relief, not victory, acceptance. She stopped refreshing timelines, stopped watching reaction videos. Instead, she focused on building structure around her life again. Workouts, therapy, long talks with family. The family was left divided no longer by fear but by logistics. Who needed more support? Who needed space? Healing isn't dramatic, but it's demanding. Another shift came when a younger reality star reached out privately. "They're already warning us about you," she admitted. Saying "don't get ideas." Yandy felt a mix of anger and responsibility. "Then they're already losing," she replied. Emotions ran high as she realized her story was becoming a cautionary tale for power, not for talent. The press circled carefully now. Tone changed. Fewer hit pieces, more think pieces. Articles framed her situation as part of a broader reckoning. Fans are shocked at how fast the narrative matured. This wasn't gossip anymore. It was cultural commentary. The network couldn't spin its way out of that. Behind the scenes, a former executive tried to quietly mediate. "What would it take to end this?" he asked. Yandy didn't hesitate. "Acknowledgement," she said. "Not to me, to the truth." The line went quiet. Some things are harder than writing a check. Emotions ran high as it became clear reconciliation was never really on the table. Small retaliations continued. Delayed payments, paperwork errors, subtle inconveniences meant to frustrate. Yandy documented everything without comment. Power hates being observed. Every attempt to rattle her only strengthened her resolve. One evening, she attended a private dinner with women across media, music, and sports. No cameras, no announcements. Stories flowed freely. Patterns repeated. Different industries, same tactics. Emotions ran high in that room, not with anger, but recognition. Yandy realized she wasn't standing at the center of a scandal. She was standing at the edge of a shift. At home later that night, she admitted something out loud she hadn't before. "I don't miss the show." Saying it felt like exhaling after holding her breath for years. What she missed was feeling respected. What she missed was safety. The family was left divided only by memories now, not by direction. The network launched another show quietly, hoping to move on. Fans noticed the absence immediately. Comments filled with comparisons. "Something feels off," viewers wrote. Ratings reflected that feeling. You can replace a face, but not an energy. Then came the message that felt almost surreal. A junior executive, still employed, reached out anonymously. "I'm sorry," it read. "I didn't speak up when I should have." Yandy stared at it for a long time. Forgiveness is complicated. Accountability even more so. She replied simply, "Do better next time." Emotions ran high in that simplicity. The industry started adjusting its language. New policies were announced, committees formed, statements crafted, some sincere, some cosmetic. Yandy watched from a distance, skeptical but hopeful. Change is slow, especially when profit is involved. Her name began circulating in rooms she wasn't in. Not as a warning anymore, but as a reference. "We don't want another Yandy situation," people said, not realizing that was exactly the point. Fans are shocked when that phrase leaked, reframed by supporters as proof of impact. There were still hard days. Days when the loss felt heavy. When old clips popped up unexpectedly. When nostalgia tried to rewrite history. Yandy allowed herself those moments without judgment. Strength doesn't mean erasing grief. It means carrying it without letting it steer. The final development in this chapter came quietly, without press releases or leaks. A new venture took shape, unrelated to networks or ratings. Mentorship, ownership, long-term vision. Something built slowly, intentionally. Yandy didn't announce it right away. Some things deserve to grow without noise. One night, months after the initial blow-up, Yandy scrolled back to the first articles announcing her alleged ban. The language felt small now. Reactive, desperate. She closed the browser and smiled faintly. The story had moved past them. As she turned off the light, her phone buzzed one last time that night. A message from someone she didn't expect. "You changed things," it read. No emojis, no hype, just truth. Yandy set the phone down, heart steady. The storm that once threatened to consume her had reshaped the landscape instead. And while the industry would never admit it out loud, everyone felt the aftershock. Some stories don't end with applause. They end with doors opening quietly, permanently. Time didn't soften the impact, it sharpened it. Weeks turned into months, and the absence of noise became its own statement. Yandy noticed how people now approached her differently, slower, more deliberate, as if aware that every word carried weight. Emotions ran high in rooms she wasn't even in. Her name still caused pauses, still shifted conversations. Not because she was present, but because she had refused to disappear. The network tried to move forward aggressively. New faces, louder drama, higher stakes. But fans weren't responding the same way. Comment sections filled with comparisons. This feels forced. Where's the authenticity? They lost the heart. Executives pretended not to notice, but ratings don't lie. The family was left divided among viewers too, some clinging to nostalgia, others demanding accountability. Yandy focused on rebuilding her internal world. Therapy sessions became non-negotiable. She talked openly about guilt, about wondering if she had failed people by not speaking sooner. Her therapist asked a simple question that stuck with her. Who benefited from your silence? The answer made everything clearer. Emotions ran high, but clarity followed close behind. Another unexpected development surfaced when a former producer publicly left the industry altogether. In a farewell post, they wrote about burnout, about moral compromise, about choosing peace over proximity to power. Fans are shocked when people connected the dots without Yandy saying a word. Sometimes, the truth echoes on its own. Behind the scenes, legal ripples continued quietly. No dramatic courtroom scenes, no viral clips, just process, documentation, precedent, the kind of slow grind institutions fear because it can't be spun or shouted down. Yandy stayed patient, reminding herself that real change rarely arrives with fireworks. Her family felt the shift too. Dinners became lighter, laughter returned in small bursts. The tension that once sat at the table like an extra guest slowly faded. One night, her husband admitted, "I was scared, but I've never been more proud of you." The family was left divided no longer, aligned in a way that felt earned, not forced. A surprise came when a younger audience discovered Yandy through old clips, not the drama, but the moments of vulnerability. Comments poured in from people who hadn't watched the shows when they aired. She was ahead of her time. They didn't deserve her honesty. Emotions ran high as a new wave of appreciation formed, free from old narratives. The industry continued to adjust its language, but habits are harder to break. Yandy noticed familiar patterns resurfacing with other talent. Warnings, pressure, quiet sidelining. She reached out privately when she could, offering perspective, not promises. Protect your boundaries early, she told one newcomer. They won't do it for you. Another turning point came when a major panel invited her to speak publicly, not about drama, but about ownership and longevity. Standing on that stage, she felt a strange mix of nerves and certainty. She spoke plainly. No accusations, no bitterness, just lessons. The room was silent in a way that felt respectful. Emotions ran high, but they were shared, not extracted. The network's attempts to reclaim cultural relevance grew louder, almost frantic. Flashy trailers, social campaigns, but the trust gap lingered. Viewers are smarter now. Fans are shocked at how quickly loyalty shifts when authenticity is questioned. Yandy had moments of doubt, too. Nights when she wondered if the cost was too high, if the sacrifices were worth it. Those moments passed when she remembered the younger version of herself who had accepted less just to stay included. She promised herself she wouldn't go back. One afternoon, she received a handwritten letter from a former crew member. Not an email, not a DM, real paper. The letter thanked her for changing how they viewed their own worth. Yandy cried reading it, not loudly, just quietly, deeply. Emotions ran high because this was the impact no rating could measure. As the year progressed, the narrative shifted again. No longer banned, no longer controversial. Now it was independent, strategic, ahead of the curve. Language matters. Yandy noticed who changed their tone and who didn't. Memory became another form of power. The final chapter of this phase arrived without warning. A leaked internal training document from the network surfaced online, outlining new protocols for talent relations. Boundaries, consent, creative input. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Fans are shocked when analysts pointed out how closely it mirrored issues Yandy had raised months earlier. The network never credited her. They didn't have to. Everyone knew. Yandy didn't celebrate. She acknowledged it privately, then moved on. Victory, to her, wasn't about recognition. It was about momentum. One evening, sitting alone with her thoughts, she realized something unexpected. The anger that once fueled her was gone. Not suppressed, resolved. What remained was purpose. She wasn't fighting anymore. She was building. As she prepared for the next phase of her career, Yandy understood that some doors close so others can't control how you walk through them. The industry would keep spinning. Stories would keep being told. But hers was no longer in anyone else's hands. The camera didn't follow her this time. The music didn't swell. There was no cliffhanger. Just a woman who chose herself and changed the game by refusing to play it the same way again. And now it's your turn. After hearing everything that went down behind the scenes, the unanswered questions, the power plays, the silence, and the fallout, what do you think really happened? Was Yandy pushed out because she crossed a line, or because she refused to be controlled? Fans are shocked by how much of this story still feels unfinished, and emotions ran high for a reason. There are still names not spoken, decisions not fully explained, and consequences that may not have surfaced yet. This is where you come in. If this story made you pause, if it made you rethink how reality TV really works, or if you've ever felt like someone tried to silence you for speaking your truth, make sure you let your voice be heard right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us which side you're on. Do you believe this was a ban, or a breakthrough? Was the network protecting itself, or punishing power? The family was left divided, the fans were left demanding answers, and the conversation is far from over. If you want updates the moment new details leak, if you want more behind-the-scenes drama that never makes it to TV, and if you don't want to miss the next chapter of this unfolding saga, hit that like button to show support. Subscribe so you stay locked in with us, because stories like this don't end quietly. They evolve. And don't forget to share this video with someone who lives for real drama, real emotion, and real conversations. Because the truth doesn't stay hidden forever, and neither do the people brave enough to tell it. Stay watching, stay questioning, and stay ready, because this story isn't done yet.